We've come to the point of our school budget development that we're proud to present our finances to the public for the upcoming 25-26 school year. Before we cover actual dollars and cents, I'd like to bring the focus on why we're here and then go a bit into the process of how the school budget is developed. To explain why we are here and what we are doing, I'd like to bring your attention to the Little Silver School's mission statement that was developed with the community, teachers, and staff during strategic planning in June 2023. The Board of Education is an elected body that oversees policy and appoints leadership to steward two very important aspects of the Little Silver community, its students and the educational facilities. They are ever mindful that the funds we are spending on these objectives are public funds. I've titled this presentation, Invested in Continued Excellence, with the thought that while the educational funding and the district itself are undergoing a lot of changes, our mission is still the same. We are committed to continuing the excellence, fostering a strong educational community, and building for the future as we improve our facilities and environment so that our students can continue to achieve to the highest standards. The next slide is a little review of school fund accounting. We operate under GAAP standards, generally accepted accounting principles, which are overseen by GATSB, the Government Accounting Standards Board. Basically, we are charged with making sure that the funding we receive goes where it was planned to go. Depending on where the monies are coming from, it is separated into different accounting categories. So, Funds 10, 11, and 12 are for general operations. Fund 20 is for specific grants. Fund 30 is set up for revenue from the sale of bonds for specific projects, which we received in December 2023 from our bond sale, and we have been spending those funds as referendum projects take place. Finally, Fund 40 is for the repayment of those bonds. The state will be contributing $852,145 in debt service aid this year to help with those payments. With fund accounting in mind, for the next few slides, our focal point will be the general or operating fund. The representation of where the money comes from should be familiar to most of us by now. We are primarily funded by property taxes. Other local sources is made up of some of the funds we have moved to reserves or had unexpended at the end of the year. With that in mind, the district is actually 90% locally funded. State aid was decreased 3% this year and is 4.1% of the budget. Extraordinary aid, which is a reimbursement for some special education expenses, is being more fully funded, though we've only budgeted that it will be less than 1% of our revenues. We do have some revenue from tuition students we receive in miscellaneous things like interest, E-rate, and various other items. This year, the reserve slice of the pie is quite small. As we look to refill our reserve accounts, given we used a larger amount this current year to fund the local share of the ROD grants. And once the money comes in, it goes right out. There are several different ways to depict how the pie is sliced. We could show classroom versus extracurricular, special ed versus regular ed costs, and so on. There's a chart of per pupil costs in the user-friendly budget, which, along with this slide deck, will be available on our website no later than Friday that speaks to some of these items. For me, the two biggest drivers are salaries and benefits. I've highlighted those here. Together, the royal blue and red pieces of the pie represent 87% of our expenses, which is not unusual for a school district or most operations these days. Some of the other significant pieces of the pie are purchase services made up of payments for things like outside evaluations or professional services like the board attorney, auditor, and architect, and needed insurances. Building maintenance, which is utilities, repairs, and services such as fire alarm systems. We have instructional supplies, which includes the online subscriptions we use as well as consumables. We also provide transportation for regular ed students as well as special ed students, and transportation paid for students who require out-of-district placements. Both of those last categories are also subsidized by the federal government via the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, or IDEA as we know it. Please keep in mind that this is our operational expenses, and the funds from the referendum are not reflected in this pie chart. In reflecting on expenses, it seems a good time to mention the organizations that help support our students so that the district can go above and beyond. The Education Foundation, the PTO, and the Borough. We have several shared services that allow us to stretch your tax dollars. We have a shared service with the borough for our grounds at both schools, and they're doing a phenomenal job keeping our grounds in beautiful, safe shape. The EFLS and PTO provide the district with extremely generous grants and donations that enable our students to have an incredible educational experience. In fact, in the current school year, the PTO has funded a class trip for every grade, in addition to grants to each school's library, ensuring our catalog is current and enticing to our readers. The EFLS has funded the beautiful eSports Lab at Markham, which will enable our students to have an incredible experience in an up-and-coming extracurricular area, as well as funding much of the technology, such as our one-to-one device program. Having looked at where the revenues come from and some of our expenditures, let's see how it is that we come up with the data we use to determine our budget. We start with students. How many are we expecting and what might be their needs? This drives staffing. We work with our professionals to determine estimates for things like increases in health benefit costs. This budget allows for a 9.5% increase in healthcare costs, which has been verified with our insurance broker. Our brokers diligently shop all providers for the best possible rates, and while 9.5% is a significant increase, the state health plan will be increasing by 16.4%. We anticipate what state aid and grant funding will be. This year we budgeted for 75% of the current allocations, given some uncertainty with the Department of Education. We discuss things like tax impact with our finance and board and committees and at our meetings. Then we put together a tentative budget, which is submitted to the state. After that's reviewed and approved, we get to the public hearing we have tonight. Discuss and answer community questions, and then the board adopts the budget and sends it to the borough and county so that the tax rate can be struck. So let's take a look at the budget we have put together. As you know, we continue this year to do much needed building and instructional and space improvements through the referendum funds and ROD grants, which eliminate Band-Aid solutions and provide true healing to enable us to move our curriculum, programs, and students into the future. You'll also see our district's debt payment is down a bit from our payment due this year. The local tax levy has increased 1.56% over last year. The general operating did increase the full 2% allowable, but with our debt payment decrease, the total increase will be 1.56%. The district chose not to utilize available healthcare waivers or bank cap, as we wanted to keep the tax impact to a minimum, so those funds will remain available for use in future years as unused spending authority from a prior year. Let's look at the tax impact. As you can see, the district levy is increasing by $261,863. You also can see that the value of Little Silver properties are far outpacing that, with the ratables increasing significantly, as well as the value of a median home. So even though the district is increasing the levy, its impact on your taxes means that for every $100 you pay in taxes, the district is taking 78 cents this year. Next year, in 25-26, for every $100 you pay, the district will be taking 60 cents. Essentially, the overall percentage of the district share of the overall tax levy will decrease slightly from 24-25. This budget allows the district to replace retiring staff with high-quality candidates and add an ICR teacher, which is a critical position in keeping with our academic standards. We have signed an agreement for a new negotiated 5-year contract with the LSAA, giving our amazing administrative team a competitive increase in their salaries. This budget allows us to continue supporting current programs and curricula and provides resources for our staff to adopt and write curriculum, as well as meet to dig into student data and make impactful decisions to make students more successful. Finally, this budget provides funds to capital projects in conjunction with the referendum to keep our buildings and grounds in great shape. Putting it all together, we feel we have established a very strong, supportive budget, keeping with continued pride and excellence, as well as an exciting path forward. Thank you.